they've totally blossomed into another position. So all of the defensive back work, I don't want to say was a complete waste of time, but it wasn't sports specific. It wasn't position specific. And that was the whole reason for you doing that. Couple of things to get to, talking about young defensive backs. And when I say young, I mean pre-high schoolers. Got some pretty good advice there for you guys and the parents of pre-high school defensive backs. You might want to listen to that. I've got a great question from the mailbag today about dealing with wide receivers in an upcoming matchup. I think my coaches out there and players would also be very interested in that. And then, I'm more on the mindset. It's the time of year where we're in the games, we're playing the games, and the stuff is real, and we're moving fast towards the postseason. I've got a discussion here. We're going to talk about a certain kind of mindset that you need to have when playing a technique. You're going to want to hear that. So make sure you strap up, saddle on. And if you've been coming here for a while and you haven't had a chance to do it, you forgot, or you've had just a brain lapse, freeze, whatever, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, man. And the bell if you're watching me here on YouTube, so you're notified the next time I put out a great show like this one. And we're cranking them out each and every week. We're cranking out videos here each and every week. I have upped the content cycle here. So if you're looking for DB help, news, technique, all that good stuff, you have found the right place. This is where you want to be. If you're listening to me on a streaming device, go ahead and hit that subscribe button there. And then if you are looking for additional videos and help with your DB technique, schemes, coaches, coaching, all that good stuff, head on over to my YouTube channel. You could put in All Eyes DB Camp YouTube or Gridiron Studs YouTube, and that will take you right there. And you can grab a hold of all that very helpful stuff for you that I have on the channel. All right, moving right into some things here. Without fail, I will get this phone call or reach out, email, text from a young dad, usually, but sometimes from the mom, in season. But it doesn't matter, in season or out season. They've got a 9, they got a 10, 11-year-old, even a 12-year-old sometimes that they want to come and do some DB training, sometimes in season, but most of the time in the off season. And I typically turn these parents away. And why do I do that? Because of this. Experience has told me, all right? I've had a couple of sons go through this whole thing and reach the highest level playing this game. I've coached at the youth level, coached at the high school level, and it's a lot of defensive backs that have been through my hands, whether as a coach, as a trainer, et cetera, et cetera. Dealt a whole lot in the whole recruiting world. And I know that right now is the end game, or at least the beginning of the end game for a lot of these parents that are reaching out to me. They want to put their sons in an advantageous position when they get to high school so that they are recruited and they can at least get a college education at the very least. And then, of course, there's NIL money out there. Let's not be naive and forget about that. That is, also a part of this. There's money being handed out here at the college level, and, people want a piece of that. And why not? Why wouldn't you want that for your son? In your quest to do that, though, there is the very big possibility that you could do too much and hurt their chances, or you can make some wrong moves there. You got to make the right moves. There are a bunch of trainers out there that will train guys that are younger than 13 years old. 13 is the youngest age that I take, and there's a reason for that. There are a bunch of guys that will train younger than that, and I know some of the parents that I give this advice to will go ahead and do that anyway. They will hear what I have to say, and they'll still go do that. No problem. It's your kid. It's their life. It's your life. It's your family's life. You make that choice. I'm just going to give you some advice here. When you start getting to that high school level and it's time for a kid to get recruited, the number one thing that they are going to be looking for is an athlete. You may not agree with that. I don't always agree with that as well, but that is the reality of the situation. Those coaches are coming there looking for an athlete. They're looking at height, weight, size, speed, strength. Those are the things that they're looking for first. After that, they'll start looking for technique, football IQ, and all those other things fall into place. So with that being the case, you want to develop your child into the best athlete possible. And the years to do that are the pre-high school years. You're not trying to do that once they get to high school. They have to have been introduced to that already. All right. Can't say it's, impossible. Yeah, there's a chance a kid could pick up another sport and become a really good athlete once they get to high school. But the chances are of that happening are a whole lot less than you stoking that flame and setting that up pre-high school. And how do we do that? When football season is over, as difficult as this may be for you to do, you need to get your son into other sports. Yes, I know some of his teammates and some of the opponents in your league that seem to be doing the greatest at that age are out pulling the sled and training for football in the offseason like they're a pro or college football player. I know they're out there going to trainers, and that turns around and them being the best 10-year-old or 11-year-old out on the football field. Colleges are not recruiting 11-year-olds. You have to have a long-term view in this thing. I get it. On Saturday mornings, when you're out there on that football field, you want your son to be the best. You want him to be the one getting the interceptions, the big hits, the fumble recoveries, the touchdowns. I get all of that. I understand it. All right. Gives you a really, really proud feeling. And you're thinking, well, why can't he be the best 10-year-old, then also be the best 15-year-old, and then the best 18-year-old? Some cases that happens. But I'm here to tell you there are some deliberate steps that need to be taken. So I'm going to harken back to this idea. You need to develop the best athlete possible. Then when they get to those high school years, we can really start working on developing their individual skill. Prior to that, it is best along the lines of playing defensive back if you help them find the knowledge of the game. Okay, so understand how defense works. Maybe learn some of the techniques. They don't necessarily have to spend a whole bunch of hours practicing them. They're better off practicing how to run. They're better off practicing how to defend someone on a basketball court, how to jump and shoot a jump shot or field a fly ball, because that'll give them ball skills, or learn how to wrestle, because that will give them some tremendous mental edge when they do, if they do decide to be football players. There's something for every sport. The soccer guys come with amazing footwork that will help them when they eventually start doubling down on their defensive back drills and things of that nature. I know you're going to feel like your son is falling behind because he's not doing these drills. Tough as this is, don't worry about that. While the 9, 10, 11-year-old is out there doing DB drills in April, your son is on a track running, becoming one of the fastest players out there. Tell me this, when you get to high school and you have a DB that has learned the technique and the footwork, but he's also a 10-400 meters, tell me that's not the guy that the college coach is looking for. As opposed to the guy who's running a mid 4.5, he's a 4.6 40 guy. He's never stepped on a track, but he has a really, really good back pedal, and he knows how to press someone at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, that kid's, he's going to be a solid player, but the coaches are going to come there and project him being in their league, going up against some of the better players in their league, and is he going to be able to hang? And I'm telling you, they are looking for great athletes. Expose your young player to as many sports as possible. Put him in basketball. Put him in baseball if you can. Put him in track. That should be number one. Get him on that track and running, because you know what you do at defensive back? Do you know what you do at cornerback, at safety, at nickelback, at dime back? Do you know what you do? You run. You run all day long. Just watch a guy on the football field that plays defense, and specifically defensive back. All you do out there is run. So it's in your best interest to be able to do that at a very high level. And sure, you could take your kid to a trainer and trainer will tell you, we can improve his speed, blah, blah, blah. Nothing will improve a kid's speed like going and playing, running track, and having to fight each and every week to win his races against his peers. Getting on that track in front of a stands full of people and trying to win first place in the 100 or the 200 or the 400 or even the 800, nothing will motivate a kid more than that. So he'll practice harder, he'll push himself in those competitions, and that will bring the speed out. Sure, a trainer will run a kid through some drills and he'll have a clock out there and he'll time them. He'll do all that great stuff. But the competition, both in practice and at the track meets, is what's going to really push your kids' speed to the next level. You want to have them in track, and then you just decide what that other sport is going to be. And if you're fortunate enough and you have good coaches, or the kid is that much of a great athlete, you might be able to even add another sport in there. Don't do all of this to the extent of trashing his ability to do well in school, because as much as people are looking past education at this point in time now, because everything is about NIL and people are questioning the whole validity or necessity of the actual education when you go to college, don't be that one whose kid didn't blossom into the next super 5-star, and now he's having a problem getting into school because his academics are not high enough. You want to have that kid above a 3.0 GPA. So if all that you're doing in the off season is at the detriment of that, you're doing your kid a disservice. Okay. You're doing your kid a disservice. Make sure there's some balance there. And the other part is he has to have some kind of a kid life. All right. Don't do it to the point of you totally stripping your kid's chance at being a kid, because you know when he's going to be a kid, when he becomes an adult and he doesn't need to listen to you anymore, then he'll turn into a kid. And that's not when you want that to happen. So there has to be a certain amount of balance. But I'm telling you, you're better off putting your kid in another sport in that off season and not taking him to see a trainer. And if you're trying to take your kid to a DB trainer when he's 8 or 9 years old, I'm here to tell you, you don't know what your kid's going to be at 8 or 9 years old. I've seen kids that look like DBs, built like DBs at 9 years old. Then you see them 5 years later in their adolescence and they're 6'5". Now these kids are defensive ends. They've totally blossomed into another position. So all of the defensive back work, I don't want to say was a complete waste of time, but it wasn't sports specific. It wasn't position specific. And that was the whole reason for you doing that. He would have been better off running around on a basketball court or around the track being the greatest athlete possible. So now when he lines up a defensive end or linebacker or that whole other position that he's grown into, he is bringing a wide range of skills that are going to definitely show up on film when he's being watched by a college coach. So my bottom line here is this. If you want to do something for your kid football wise in the off season, because in your household, football is a 12-month out of the year sport, help him with the football IQ part of it. Help him to understand. I have great resources if you want to do that. There's a book, members area. We've got this YouTube channel, and there's information available online for that. Help him with that. Help him get the brain part of playing football, because I'm here to tell you that's where the longevity is. Okay. Understanding the game of football is how guys progress from the next level to the next level. Coaches trust them. They're consistent. They make plays. They're routinely where they need to be, and they don't stress people out, and they just seem to be a playmaker. The next thing is being a tremendous athlete. And the best way for that to happen is not going and asking your trainer for however many dollars an hour to get that done. It is actually putting them in other sports. I would love to just take on all the 9 and 10-year-olds. I'm sure it would be lucrative for me, but I am thinking about the long term for the player. There's nothing worse than a kid getting to that 16, 17 years old and wishing they could get offers and move on to the next level, and they can't. And that ends up being the end game for a lot of these parents that just insisted that their kid needed to be the best 9 or 10-year-old football player out there. I wasn't that, and I made it all the way to the highest level. Didn't stay there as long as I wanted, but I made it there. Was not. You would not have picked me at age 11 or 12 even to say, hey, that guy is going to play in the NFL one day, or that guy is going to play big time college football one day. I was decent, but not that. I didn't need to be the best football player on the team at 12 years old. Some guys will do that. Okay, a very small percentage of guys will be the best player on the team at that age, and it'll just continue through high school, college, and on to the pros. God bless them. But don't try to manufacture. That will just kind of happen on its own. You won't have to manufacture it. You won't have to do it. It'll just happen. God intended for it to be that way. They're blessed with certain skills and characteristics that it just works out that way. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of the guys that I grew up playing with and kids that I ended up coaching afterwards, those best players didn't end up being the best players later on. It's about a long-term approach that you need to have if the end goal is you want to get your kid into school and at least get them a college education for free, because that stuff is not cheap. So take it from me. All right. I know at the end of the day, parents, you're going to do what it is that you want to do. Again, it's your child, but just take it from me. My advice is your kid doesn't need a DB trainer at age 10 and age 11. It's certainly not at age 8 or 9. They don't need that. Okay. They don't need it. Put them in other sports. You might, I don't know if you want this, you might find out the kid's really great at another sport. You'll never find that out if he's at a football trainer from January till June, and then you throw him back into football again. You pretty much said it's football or bust. What if you put that kid on a basketball court and he goes crazy and he's Allen Iverson? What if he picks up a golf club and he's Tiger Woods? What if you put him on the track and the kid's Noah Lyles? Expose them to everything. You have no idea. You don't know what God's intent is. Put them in all of these things and something might really, really blossom. All right, that might happen. But if that is not what happens, they bring a wide range of skills from all of these other sports into this one. And trust me, it helps them when in high school. And if nothing else, they're playing team sports in all these other places, and they just learn how to be a really good team player. They know how to have teammates, and they understand the whole team thing. That's getting lost in everything that we're doing today, because it's become really, really about me. Sports has just been a me thing now, because everyone's out for the money and I'm doing what's best for me, and guys end up being terrible teammates, and then they just don't last on teams. All right. Terrible teammates don't really last on football teams. One way or another, they get out of there. All right. Players go complain, or they make it so it's very uncomfortable, and then the guy's out of there. So you can have all the talent in the world, and then, you still can't stick with a football team. You guys have seen guys like that. All right. So I'm off my soapbox on that. Hope you guys take my advice on that one. All right. How do you feel about what I said? Does your sub 13-year-old go to a trainer? I'd love to hear from you. Do you agree with what I said on this? And does your are you younger than 13 and you go to a trainer? I would love to hear from you. Drop a comment down below. And if you disagree, feel free to drop your comment there. I'll be open to listening to what folks have to say about it. So hit that comment section down below if you are watching this on YouTube. Time for the mailbag. I love this part each and every week. Of course, I do need to say this again. If you want to have your question read on the Indy Drills podcast, or at least have a chance to have that done, go ahead and drop your question in the comment section in this YouTube video right now. If you are listening to this on a streaming device, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, whatever, I believe Anchor allows you to be able to ask a question there. You could do it there. But the best thing for you to do, if you are not watching this on YouTube, is to send your question to cwilson@alliesdbcamp.com. Feel free to like the video, share the video. And once again, please feel free to join my channel. On your way out, please check out some great resources that I have for you. One of them is this great book, 101 DB Tips, the #1 DB reference guide out there. Over 100 of the best tips you will ever get on playing defensive back, covering in man, playing zone, playing safety, nickel back, training in the offseason, studying film. It's all there. Have a link to it down in the description below. And then also the All Eyes DB Camp members area, over 300 posts on just about everything that you need. Strategy, analyzing coverages, what is the offense doing, understanding route combinations, quizzes in there, discussions, everything that you need. The combination of this book and the All Eyes DB Camp membership, there's no way you can't reach your potential as a defensive back. Link to that in the description down below. All right, that's it for me. I'm out of here. And as always, All Eyes DB Camp. Consistency breeds results.